Man League Universal with the Commissioner.
Time to musk up.
Man League Universal.
Woo! It's gonna be awesome and some other musical stuff.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole.
And now, the Commissioner.
Man League Universal Podcast. We're here with Don Donaher of the Blackburn Review. Yesterday evening, we had Game 6 of the NBA Finals, Spurs Heat. We had to do a podcast today.
Absolutely. It's what Dwayne Wade would want.
It's what Dwayne Wade would want. So much to talk about. Game 7, headband, no headband.
I was just about to ask, do you have yours on or off? I'm going off right now.
Mine is, it alternates between a headband and one of those hair ties that Mike Miller wears. By the way, I had a realization last night. Mike Miller and Dave Grohl comparison. Discuss.
It's so funny. It's every time, I think my wife has a little bit of reverse racism in her because she is, every time she sees Mike Miller or Chris Anderson, she's just like, oh my God, they just don't look like they belong anywhere near a basketball court. And I'm just like, hey, that's racist. You can't be racist if you're white in saying that. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? But I could see the resemblance to Dave Grohl. They both, I enjoy both, definitely. Mike Miller came out huge. Shoeless Mike Miller is what we're going to start calling him now.
That was great. So much regrettable ink on that man. I can't help but enjoy when he's on the court, both for his excellent shot and his regrettable tattoos, which really seem to contradict one another. It looks like there's a lot of tribal involved, and I don't think Mike Miller, being the guy from from some dump in Florida, I got to say that I don't imagine him being the most well-versed in regard to other ethnic languages.
Isn't he from South Dakota?
I really don't know. I know he went to Florida, and he had a butch cut, high and tight in college, and he got beat up by Mateen Cleaves. That's about it. That's about the extent of my knowledge. But
I do think he's from South Dakota, so maybe he does have a little engine in him. Maybe we should ask him if he's offended by the Washington Redskins moniker.
Another topic for another day, perhaps. But let's be
huge yesterday, though, man. It was these role players yesterday. Just Chalmers. I guess he's not really a role player, but Battier came through yesterday. Miller came through. It's really weird not to see Haslam or Norris Cole play a minute yesterday.
Why Norris Cole injury? What's going on? Why is he? Because let's be honest, Tony Parker is currently wearing the skin of Mario Chalmers. Because Mario Chalmers is having maybe one of the worst defensive series for any starting guard I've ever seen or I can ever recall. I mean, it's him combined with Dwayne Wade. Their perimeter defense is on par with, a St. Bonaventure perimeter defense. It's really startling how bad it is.
Because, the Heat are my team. I pretty much watch them all the time, and their perimeter defense is like a huge strength. That's what made them go for, playing that small ball. So I'm thinking Spoelstra, I don't know. Maybe he's just thinking, all right, I'll take the chances with the offensive numbers that Mike Miller and Mario Chalmers will give me rather than, Norris Cole maybe just giving me like 5 points or something like that. I was stunned that he didn't see the floor. Did he play? I think he played in Game 5. I think
Briefly.
I could see Haslam not playing. That dude's old. But it's really a series of just ebbs and flows. I think the game yesterday, it was in the Spurs' hand, and then I thought when the Heat went up, what were they, 5? I thought the game was over, and then when LeBron went Cleveland style and made those 2 turnovers, I thought, I actually texted a friend. I said, he's a big Spurs fan. I said, congratulations, man. It was a great series. I thought it was over. I had no faith in them coming back in that game.
That's so brave of you. It's such a class move, dude. Giving that text, sending up that text. You know what I mean?
I think that I'm not a. I'd like to think that I'm not a annoying Heat fan.
Is there any other kind? Is the question that most listeners just asked, but
it's jealousy. It's jealousy, and it's partially people from Cleveland that still just can't get over it. I know we talked about it last year during this time. I mean, on my Twitter feed last night, it was just nothing but ripping LeBron for choking, making fun of him for going bald, and then blaming the refs when I guess they forgot that, they were terrible on the other end against Miami too. I mean, the guy just can't win ever.
I was pleased with how yesterday, how last night's game ended in both regulation and overtime. There was a stretch there in the middle of the fourth quarter where LeBron really transformed. He had a few isolation baskets, looked really good around the rim. He had that huge block on Duncan, which was awesome.
Yep.
Reminiscent of the block on Splitter, but to have it be Duncan was extra points. But he gets in this groove, and it's really at a point where he's become unstoppable, and the game is essentially over with him getting the ball every possession from that point forward, I think, with maybe 7 or 6 minutes to go in the game. Enter Dwayne Wade.
Oh, God, what was
Talk about a guy, grabbed all the condiments, a couple buns, made himself a momentum sandwich, and just ate everything in sight. A baseline 17-foot fadeaway jumper, a shot that is questionable in February against the Bobcats in the fourth quarter of a blowout. Game 6 of the most important game of the Heat season, of course. And that's the kind of stuff he's throwing up. LeBron doesn't touch the ball that possession. Next possession, Dwayne Wade, another patented crossover with a big man on him. And, of course, he does a 17-foot step back at the top of the key, barely draws rim. Just a prototypical Dwayne Wade end of regulation performance where he essentially pretty much cost them the game if it were not for the heroics of Ray Allen. But
no, I totally agree. I think with Wade, him and Chalmers, I mean, the last two possessions for each of them, I think that has there ever been a guard in the history of the league more than Dwayne Wade to drive into the lane and you're thinking, okay, he's going to go up and get fouled, and then just try and pass it in between like 5 people? It's just absurd.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly a great player in his prime, but any chance for me to shed some light on how unrelated Dwayne Wade is to the Heat's productive Game 6 win. If you look at the plus-minus of when he was on the floor and when he was not, as Dwayne Wade now has relegated himself to being a 12-foot and in guy. Apparently, the 15-foot jump shot is no longer a suitable option for him.
I think, all these people are like, if the Heat lose, they gotta mix it up, get rid of Bosh. You gotta get rid of Wade. You really do. I think you can get more for him, and I think Bosh plays better when Wade is not on the court, and I think LeBron does too.
LeBron does because he has kind of abandoned the outside shot, and when he's not shooting the ball well from the outside, and when he's not getting consecutive fast break opportunities, then he becomes pretty much just a brute who kind of imposes his will down low. And when you've got Dwayne Wade on the floor, and he's kind of a player that likes to just float around the perimeter and get the ball and kind of go off screens and shoot fadeaway 18-footers.
Maybe he really is hurt. Maybe I don't know. It's frustrating watching this team, and I know it's been brought up by like the national media. I've brought it up on Twitter also. It's just the on-off switch of this team is the most frustrating thing to watch. They should, in all reality, should have won game 1. They blowout win in game 2, got destroyed in game 3, won game. I mean, it should be over right now. I think we all could agree that the Heat are the more talented team. They have the better players. It's just that the Spurs played better as a team. And, of course, Danny Green and Gary Neal playing out of their minds. Do I think Danny Green's better than 3 points a game? Absolutely. But he is more of yesterday's game than he has been in games 1 through 5.
What do you mean, yesterday's game? Explain.
Last night's game. Yeah, He was terrible.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that's more of an image of...
Or that's more the Danny Green. That's the player that he is. Again, he's better than 3 points. He had a horrible game yesterday, but he is not the 70% shooter. He's not the deadly from 3-point range. He is a 10 to maybe 15 points a game guy. And he's the reason that the Spurs are even in this series. I mean, it's... No one, I mean, people yesterday were talking about, maybe Duncan, because of this game, could be MVP. If they would have won yesterday, how could you not give it to Danny Green?
Right.
That's just my thoughts. I mean, it's very frustrating, and I know it's going to sound like, you're a Heat fan, you can't talk crap, you can't talk shit. This team, I know how they could play. You see them in the 27-game winning streak. You see them in the blowout wins in game 2. They are the more talented. They have the more talented players. It's very. I can't believe it's going into 7 games. I'm so nervous about tomorrow. I think they're going to win, but I just feel that it's a little absurd that it's even still a series.
Right. Okay. Back to your Ginobili point. With all the uproar associated with the final play, I guess, I don't know, one of the final plays in overtime when Ginobili basically drove to the rim, cradled the ball, and took what had to have been maybe a 6-step Euro move, which has actually been practiced quite often by Dwayne Wade, which is maybe one of the more horrible things that happened to the NBA in recent memory. Another resume point for Dwayne Wade on that one, but as far as the refereeing last night, I would say it's about as good as could have been expected. For 2 reasons. One, they didn't decide the game themselves, I don't think.
No.
Because it was kind of a desperation move. Ginobili's fast breaking, and he's maybe got a 3-on-4 or something like a 3-on-3, and Bosch was already under the basket by the time Ginobili was around 3 feet from the 3 line and getting across the 3 line to drive in. And he basically picks his dribble up at the 3-point line and takes he kind of shuffles his feet and takes 3 huge steps, kind of gets wrapped up with a couple people, and it looks like he just gets the ball knocked out of his hands. And there's just no way you call that, because it basically, if you call it, that's the game. He's going to make those 2 foul shots if you call it, and then you've got like half a second left or something. But I also think they did a good job with LeBron, because LeBron, out of nowhere, and this is a little disappointing, he's kind of become essentially a flop artist. You could tell last night he was begging for a call when he wasn't making anything out from the outside. Jumpers were all off. 3-point shot was off. And with the offense kind of just being him at the top of the key, dribble around for a while with a 10-foot cushion of whoever is guarding him, and then him going into the lane and basically kind of just throwing himself at the nearest defender and falling over. I felt like they got it right almost every time where they didn't make that call. And couple that with how they didn't make any deciding calls at the end of the game, case in point being the Ginobili drive.
The Bosch block at the end.
The Bosch block at the end, which I have a hard time understanding what Bosch is thinking there. Yeah, you block that shot, but man, that's awful. If he head fakes, then, and I know that there wasn't a whole lot of time left, but all Danny Green really has to do there is head fake maybe and get Bosch. Bosch clearly leaves his feet on that block.
Right. I guess it's
would have been 3 easy shots, but I don't understand how you body up to a 3-point shooter like that and expect for there to not be any chance of getting a foul call. That's the you're going to have to get inside the head of a Chris Bosh if you want to talk about that, and who knows what's up there besides a face that really resembles some kind of raptor.
It was a big block. I mean, he's probably in the mindset of, you know what, if I get all ball and I foul him, at least it won't be a 4-point play. We got to make him make 3 free throws, and who knows what Danny Green would have done then. With LeBron, and I guess we could finish off the topic. With LeBron, I think it's kind of getting into the Shaquille O'Neal kind of hack-a-Shaq kind of thing. Shaq was so dominant and so powerful. No one, he could have scored 100 points if the refs sort of try and make it even. And I think that's kind of going on with LeBron. He's so powerful and so big against other guards that, he plows into the lane. And the only way that the refs can make it even is, sometimes call the foul, but other times just let it go. Because he was flopping around, but a lot of times he was getting fouled. That play where the ball went out on him and first they called it out on Green, he was fouled there.
Nah, I disagree. I don't think he was.
And then with Ginobili blatantly elbowing him in the neck, that was a foul, but that's a flagrant foul on anyone else. Like, it's just absurd. Like, again, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I've never really loved LeBron. When he was in Cleveland, I hated him. Now that he's on my team, I respect him, but he cannot win no matter what. I mean, he could go out tomorrow and score 50 points and the Heat lose, and it'll somehow be blamed on him.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think I think he's getting his due for the kind of performance he had last night. I don't think he was as great as people say he's been, because I think he got the benefit of the doubt on a few calls. But like you said, I think when you compare him to kind of how referees manage Tony Parker, well, Tony Parker, anytime he really gets hit at all, he's going to hit the deck just because he's not big at all. I mean, physically, he's like, 6'2", 6'1", maybe 190 pounds, 185 pounds, probably less, probably shorter. He's not a big guy, and one of the biggest disappointments of last night is that he's not going to be recognized for basically the major onions that he served up to the Miami Heat in the form of that step back 3, which was maybe the sickest shot I've ever seen, given the circumstances. I think they were down 3, and he had LeBron on him, which is another credit to LeBron, who basically guards anybody and everybody on the floor that needs guarding. Dwayne Wade and Mario Chalmers clearly not up to the task of even staying in front of Tony Parker for an extended period of time, let alone shutting him down.
We had a terrible game yesterday.
Tony Parker?
6 for 23. I mean...
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was...
Kobe Bryant does that, and he gets ridiculed, but they win. Tony Parker, I don't hear anyone ripping him today. The people that are being ripped are Greg Popovich, and that's about it.
How many did Duncan finish with last night?
Yeah, 30.
Yeah.
It was absurd that he wasn't in the game, like why he was taken out at the beginning of the fourth quarter. I mean, Popovich, I think he's just one of those guys, kind of like Bill Belichick, where he just, it's his way, and if you question him, he'll have someone kill you. And you're just not allowed to question him because he's a genius. But he blew it yesterday.
In what regard?
Loss is on him.
In what regard? Do you think he should have left Duncan in that last possession on
and
Ray Allen's 3?
In the beginning of the fourth quarter, Duncan, why is he on the bench? Listen, I know Duncan's old. I know you got to be like, okay, what if we have a Game 7? But this is the NBA Finals, okay? It'd be one thing, again, if this was the first round of the playoffs or whatever. This is the NBA Finals. You put it out on the line. I can't believe Duncan wasn't like, dude, why am I not in there? Like
He did sit for an extended period of time in the fourth, didn't he?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was really questionable.
He was making Bosh his bid.
It was bad.
And you take him out for the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter? I mean, what was that? So you have a prediction for tomorrow?
I predict the Heat, not handily, but I don't think it's I'd say Heat by 7 or 8 with Duncan not being near as productive as he was last night, and I'm assuming somebody like Mike Miller, Shane Battier, Mario Chalmers steps up and puts up a 20 spot, and then LeBron and D-Wade both go for mid-20s. LeBron, exceptional, and we get to drink the tears of Cleveland once again, which is always enjoyable and always goes down smooth as far as I'm concerned.
That's the best part of this whole thing is that Cleveland gets to cry again.
Dan Gilbert gets to write another letter in Comic Sans font to Cleveland season ticket holders, promising that Cleveland will win a championship before LeBron, the supposed king of Cleveland, wins one or two, or eventually three. But the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to draft somebody who's not even going to play in 2013, 2014. So they've got that to look forward to.
But dude, LeBron's coming back in 2014.
Which, if that would happen, I would actually not be totally against it. I would kind of be on board with that. I'm a total LeBron convert now. Like, hated him when he was in Cleveland just because I have a pretty strong disdain for the city of Cleveland and all of its inhabitants. But if he goes back to Cleveland, it kind of comes full circle. And now you know what needs to happen. I've heard rumors that he has these headbands, and there's no way to tell, but I've heard rumors that these headbands that he wears are like twice as thick as their traditional headband in order to cover up the receding hairline, which is now moving further and further back on the head.
I'm with them.
I'm curious as to what kind of custom tailoring that headband gets. Maybe we should look into that for another time. But
absolutely.
So I'm assuming a fan has that headband.
I have no idea where it went. Maybe maybe it went the way with Mike Miller's shoes. Maybe someone picked it up and threw it into the.
Yeah, Mike Miller loses his shoe and decides the best option is to throw it into the stands.
I know.
You got to leave that thing on the court. It's like a landmine.
Exactly.
There's a good chance Tim Duncan trips over that thing and
with his old bones dies.
Yeah, something happens. I don't know.
Yep.
Or Boris Diaw eats it. I mean, there's any number of possibilities that could have happened, and just send it into the crowd, which probably hit an empty seat. You know, the whole leaving early thing. You don't couple that in with, oh, that's just Miami fans for you. That's just how fans go. That's just how fans are. Specifically NBA fans, who generally, those that attend NBA games, have zero interest in the NBA itself, especially in Miami. Maybe more so than other cities. Maybe it's like you got guys like Bieber sitting courtside who generate more buzz than the actual game itself. It gives you a nice perspective on the NBA and how it's kind of become a WWE type atmosphere where there's a lot of speculation about certain things being fixed, but I won't get into that. I don't want to speculate, so I won't speculate. All right, do we have any other next topics? I know we wanted to talk a few minutes of Reds baseball, and I'll start that off here quickly, and then we can move into any of the summer blockbusters that have recently come out and whether or not you've attended any or you've have caught any of the matinees. But in regard to the Reds, got to talk about Mike Leake for a minute. Talk about a guy who pretty much been on the boat out of the Reds rotation for the last 2 months, seemingly keeping the seat warm for either Aroldis Chapman or Cingrani, whoever kind of declared themselves the new starter until the time that Leake basically gave it up. But he's been really good this year, and there needs to be credit given to the decision to not only keep him in the lineup at the beginning of the season, but to keep him there once Cingrani had come back up and put an application in for that fifth spot with some pretty good performances. But if you look at the guy's stats, I mean, he's got a mid-2 ERA, 2.6 or something ERA. I think 7 wins now, which is nothing to write home about. But the guy's been exceptional this year, and there needs to be credit given to a guy like Dusty, who, for all of his flaws, I feel like has made a lot of good decisions this year in regard to personnel, how he's managed Xavier Paul, another case of his.
But not with Chapman, though.
Not with Chapman, not at all. The bullpen is a mess, and Dusty really has no idea what he's doing with that. But otherwise, I think he's been pretty good for a middle of the pack quality manager as far as I'm concerned. But I think he deserves some credit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to add on to that. I mean, Leake's pitching out of his mind. He's doing a good job. He's doing you don't expect much from your number 5 starter. But, the pitching never was going to be a problem on this team, the starting pitching at least. And you thought the bullpen, but that's unfortunately, again, I know the season's long, but we got a huge stretch of games coming up. I don't see. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, the Cardinals are going to come back to earth. They can't hit like that with runners in scoring position. Their pitchers won't keep it up." But their offense is not the offense that scares you. Like they're going to put up 10 runs a game. They're the offense that will just bleed you with hit after hit, clutch hit after clutch hit. As much as I hate him, Yadier Molina, man, that guy is just a beast.
MVP. He should be the MVP.
Still a beast somehow. He's doing something.
Yeah, something's fishy about that.
Awesome. Like I hate them. I hate now that La Russa's gone, I don't hate them as much, but I still hate them. I don't see the Reds catching them. I know the Reds are only 2.5 back. I just see these next stretch of games when the Reds play. I think 13 out of the 16 against teams with winning record, while the Cardinals play only 3 with teams of winning records. Mm-hmm. I see by the All-Star break, I see the Cardinals being up probably about 5 games.
What are they up now? 4?
2.5, I think.
Oh, really?
2.5 or 3. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I don't see the Reds catching them. I see the Reds definitely getting a wild card spot, but we'll see.
Yeah, no shame in that. Cardinals' best record in baseball, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
I mean, they're having a great year, and do I think that they're going to win 100 games? No, but I just think that they're just too good to not necessarily choke away, but I just think that they're a better, as much as it pains me, I think they're definitely a better team than the Reds.
Interesting. Okay.
But, I mean, we'll see. I hate this whole one-game playoff garbage in the second wild card. I think it's pointless. I think it's bull crap. If you make the playoffs as a wild card, you should deserve to play in a full series, not a one-game winner-take-all crap in order to play the first-place team. I think that's bull crap.
Yeah. Almost about half as stupid as having home field advantage be decided in the All-Star game. Maybe the dumbest thing to come about in the past 20 years under Bud Selig's involvement with baseball.
No replay. Baseball's just behind the times. It's pathetic. I mean, as much as I love it, love watching games, going to games, it really is. It's so far behind football. College basketball is ahead of it. And I would say, as much as people, make fun of the NBA, the numbers don't lie. I mean, look at NBA playoffs compared to World Series numbers. NBA playoffs destroyed the World Series numbers.
Yep.
Maybe just because it's it's such a long season, maybe that's why people like baseball, but it really is number 3. I don't see how anyone could argue that it's ahead of basketball.
Right. Okay. Good talk. We're about 30-something minutes in, which is about 30-something minutes too long, I think, for our listeners' pleasure. But
we have 5 people. It's the summer. I mean, I can't even remember the last time we've been on our site.
Right. Any movies? Have you caught any movies lately? Have you caught any of the more high-profile movies that have recently been put out to the public here in the last month or two? Great Gatsby, I'm assuming you got that. You probably got all pampered up for that one, didn't you?
No, I wanted to see it, but I didn't make it to that one. We saw This Is the End, which was actually very funny. The Seth Rogen, James Franco movie.
Okay.
I never got into the comic books, so, I mean, Man of Steel looks good, but I probably won't see that. Definitely not going to be seeing the Lone Ranger. That looks just dreadful.
That looks terrible.
Think of what are the other movies, that kind of big movies that came out. I mean, I never got into Star Trek, so I didn't see The Hangover 3. Did you see that yet?
I did not, and I have no ambition to see that.
Yeah,
I've seen some of the reviews, and it looks like they did the old cut and paste job
again,
that Todd Phillips has become so lovingly known for.
Hey,
Todd Phillips comes out. You got to look at this, guys. The last 4 or 5 movies post Hangover 1, you're looking at a lineup of something like Due Date, Hangover 2, Hangover 3, 21 and Over, Project X.
God.
I mean, the man needs to be put on trial at some point.
Man, he's laughing all the way to the bank, though.
Well, we're not even when you mention that, it reminds me of Adam Sandler.
Yep.
Grown Ups 2 coming out.
Coming out, baby.
So.
Hey, you already wrote like a thesis on
right.
that. I say you go see it and write a review.
I might catch it. I'm assuming it'll be on TV here on about 17 different channels within 6 months. So I'll catch it at that point. But
you show Grown Ups 1 on FX.
Right.
Like every day, so.
It's going to be quite the event. And, I mean, Sandler's the king. So as far as Todd Phillips is concerned, he's minor league compared to Sandler. I think Sandler's net value is pushing something like $500 million, nearly.
Hey man,
just because.
More power to him. Don't
hit
the game, hit the player, right?
Yeah, I guess.
He's doing what we all would do. I mean,
I gotta stop you. I would say that I would not portray myself as a cross-dressing identical twin.
It is true. Well, what if you
in a movie kids? With Al Pacino? I wouldn't do that.
What if you had kids and they're like, you need to do this? Because remember when The Rock was like, I'm not doing any more action movies. I'm going to do the Tooth Fairy and the Game Plan.
Get out of here, Rock. Come on, man.
Then he realized, wait a second, you're going to pay me how much for Walk Hard 2? Okay.
Did you see Fast and Furious 6?
No.
Man, we got to see that. We got to see that and do a post-podcast to catch up on all the new plot twists.
All the new hijinks of that of Dom. And
all the exceptional dialogue, the amount of baby oil used on the biceps of The Rock.
Did you see it?
No, I did not. But I saw the preview, and I saw, as we mentioned before, I saw a Corvette drive out of a moving commercial airplane at full speed on the runway, which is totally acceptable in the Fast and Furious world.
But you know what? You never know what happens down there in Brazil or wherever they're at. There's no rules down there.
There is no rules down there. There are no rules.
The World Cup and the Olympics are going to be down there. I mean, it's going to be Thunderdome down there.
Should make the trip.
No. We wouldn't come back alive. We would either die or be kidnapped.
Definitely, there would be a kidnapping of some kind.
Yeah, when they kidnap us, they would just be like, wait, you guys aren't worth anything. We're just going to kill you. So it would be kind of both. So we would get kidnapped, and then we would die.
Right. We're going to harvest your organs and then sell you on the sex trade market.
My family would be like, we told you, we're not bailing you out. Have fun.
All right. Any other parting thoughts?
I just want it out there. I wanted to the clear, and I'm speaking for Blackburn too. We had nothing to do with Archie Miller's house getting invaded, so just want to throw that out there. I know a lot of people think that we're up to our annual hijinks for the summer to get web hits, but that was not us. And we had nothing to do with Matt Kavanaugh being reinstated either. I know we have a lot of clout with the administration there at UD, but that was not our doing either.
Noted. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Exactly. It's the summer, man. I'm ready for 4th of July. Get my Speedo on, get it going. Yeah.
Great.
All those people, that are clamoring. I guess there was a little bit of a fight on the comment section about how we need to be more like UD Pride and post more in the summer. I don't know what to tell you. It's UD basketball. This isn't.
Check yourself at the door.
I don't know what you want us to talk about in the summer when nothing is happening.
Well, you know what they're going to get? They're going to get about 36 minutes of mindless drivel.
Hey, perfect. It was fun, though.
All right. Well, until next time.
Absolutely.
Go Heat.
Go Heat.
They can talk to me. They really enlightened cat, and I like that about you.
Man League Universal.